The new normal on the southeastern portion of the Salton Sea is a stark departure from the past.
15 years ago, there was water right where we're standing, and it's just receded that much.
Bruce Wilcox is the California Resources Secretary for the Salton Sea. He's standing on a spur of land that was once part of a boat launching area.
And will continue to recede. It's very flat, and so for every vertical foot of drop, there is several thousand feet of horizontal exposure.
The sandy playa that used to be underwater will be exposed to the sun and wind, and that concerns local officials. Wilcox says the dust is tiny and can easily get airborne. That's a public health crisis for a region already suffering with California's highest asthma rates.
One particulate matter 10 or 10 microns, very, very small dust. But inhaled, it's a health hazard all by itself. But also probably adhering to some of those particulate matter particles here are toxic material of one kind or another.
California's 10-year management plan involves flooding more than 20,000 newly exposed acres of lakebed to control dust and to create wildlife habitat. But the state only has about half the money needed for that effort, and the first flooding project is running 2 years behind schedule. And this is salt here, right?
Yes, this is efflorescent salt. It's mostly sodium, I think it's chloride, that just kind of comes up after a rain event.
Jessica Humes works for the Imperial Irrigation District. She's brought us to an area that is just south of the Alamo River, east of the lake.
Although rain is really nice for the overall desert area, on the playa, it brings these salts up, and as soon as they dry and we get a nice, good wind from the west, they will just blow. And it is almost whiteout conditions just from dust.
So the district has come up with a plan to keep some of that dust out of the air. This area just to the east of the Salton Sea is what's being worked on. They're digging deep furrows that are designed to catch the dust that would otherwise blow across. Hume says engineers work the soils to roughen it up. The idea is to create some resistance for the wind on what would otherwise be a dry, flat lake bed.
The logic here is that if you create this furrow, the winds come mostly from the west to this area, so they'll bring any salt, dust, particles in through the array, and with each little hump they have to go over, they drop out some of the dust particles.
The project is carefully monitored, and Humes says their analysis shows these trenches can cut a 25-mile-an-hour wind in half at the surface. And she says it's an effort to be proactive as conditions around the Salton Sea change.
This is not nearly as dusty as the area to the south, which has no projects on it.
Humes concedes this project won't work everywhere. It needs the right kind of soil, it only helps when the winds come from a specific direction, and it may not work when there are really strong winds. But the Imperial Irrigation District monitoring proves the project can be part of the solution, but more needs to be done.
There's 3 times the state's childhood asthma rate in this area. It's serious.
IID's Robert Shetler says habitat ponds that cover the exposed playa need to be built soon, but that takes money, and the state has only set aside less than half the money for a 10-year plan aimed at controlling the dust with flooding. Even so, Shetler remains optimistic.
The Salton Sea can be sustainable, yet it needs to be a smaller sea. So we would like to work with our partners on that. And how that comes about, that remains to be seen.
The Imperial County District is trying to leverage its position as a senior rights holder of Colorado River water to get federal matching funds for the management effort at the Salton Sea. That could double the $200 million the state has available for the project, and it could get some of those more effective dust control measures built. Erik Anderson, KPBS News.